Hey there, viewers, it's Charlie. I'm back again with another Transformers review. And today's review is going to be on Legacy Jhiaxus. Now, Jhiaxus was pretty much created for the Generation 2 comics. I mean, his name is essentially a play on words. But, well, this isn't his first figure, but this is his first figure to actually look like Jhiaxus. Let's just say the other Jhiaxus figures before this one had a bit more orange on them. But, well, let's take a quick look at the packaging. Now, of course, we've got the standard Legacy packaging. So we just got a picture of Jhiaxus' jet mode there. Got G2 Universe Jhiaxus, remember that. Got a G2 Decepticon insignia, which is a nice touch. And it makes me wonder why Laser Prime didn't have a G2 Autobot insignia. I don't know. Of course, no window, unfortunately. Hey, they need to cut down on plastic somehow. This side, we've got Jhiaxus. We've got a close up of his face. We've got his name in Ancient Autobot. I keep calling it Cybertronian lettering, but it's actually Ancient Autobot. This side, we've got some Decepticons. The back, we've got them in both modes. Got the QR code if you want to scan that. And yeah, that's essentially it for the packaging. And well, taking a look at the jet mode, well, it's a Cybertronian jet. Because, of course, this was... Well, Jhiaxus was essentially made for the comics and never meant to be a toy initially, so... Yeah. So, taking a look at the detailing, right off the bat we can see some exposed wires, because G2 was quite gritty and grim when it came to the detailing. I mean, there's a scene where, like, Prime is, like... I think it's like Jhiaxus hits Prime and, like, shrapnel's just flying off of Prime, so that should tell you how violent the G2 comics were. If anything, it could give the movies a run for their money. But we've got the nose cone in the cockpit there. Ironically, his head's just showing right there, which is hilarious. It's one of those it's one of those cases of visible head syndrome that doesn't bother me, and instead I find quite humorous. But we've got another G2 Decepticon insignia right there. Unfortunately, his arms are just right there, but hey, this is a Cybertronian jet, and unlike Blitzwing, I can kind of let this pass because this is meant to be the first actual figure of G2 Jhiaxus. I say the first because the others were, well, they had a bit more leeway in their design. The wings, definitely cool looking. Got the back with the thrusters. And thankfully, unlike Blitzwing, you can actually plug in some blast effects to make it look like he's just soaring through the air. Well, I'm not... Well, there is a flight stand port, but the arms are in the way, so I suppose if you want to plug in a blast effect port... Not blast effect. If you want to plug in a flight stand, you have to move the arms out the way. I'm not sure. But still, of course, you can just plug in some blast effects to the thrusters there to make it look like he's just soaring through the sky, which is nice. The cockpit section is kind of hollow, but it is necessary for the transformation. Now, moving on to the accessories. We get this gun here. And is this blast effect compatible? Well, we can fit one on there, so I'm just going to say yes. And of course you can just plug this onto here. Well, kinda. Well, not really. But there is a port under the nose cone, so you could plug this onto here. And you do get another gun, which is meant to more be the energon infused gun, because it is sort of transparent. And does this say blast effects? Yep, this one actually slides on pretty well. So if you just want... Well, this one doesn't really go on that well, but... the instructions more tell you to plug this onto the side. Like so. So you got this going on. However, what I do... another accessory you get, although the instructions don't document this, this little sensor. So you can just plug this onto the back of the gun, plug the gun on backwards, and now you've got this. And that's how I put the gun on in jet mode, and I think this looks pretty nice. Now the instructions don't tell you this. This was more found by someone else, but this is still really cool. And well, that's pretty much all I have to say about the jet mode. And if anything, like, my only complaint is the visible arms, but even then, seeing how this is Jhiaxus, well, Jhiaxus' first ever, well, fully G2 comic accurate figure, I can still let this slide, because it's not like Starscream's Earthrise figure where, you know, there's other figures of him with more cleaner undercarriages, so this may be an eyesore, but I can let it pass. Because who knows, maybe he had this in the comics, I can't remember. I mean, probably not, but still. So, overall, this is a really nice jet mode. I really like this. So let's get onto the transformation. So to start, we'll just remove the weapons, separate this. And to start, we're just going to tilt the camera up. This part's only necessary if you're trying to review the figure, the same way that I review my figures. But to actually start, we're just going to untab the wings from here, so you can see that they tab into here. And they just move on this double hinge here. And you fold around there. And these can pop off, because when I first got this guy out of the box, one wing did actually come off, so be careful. I'm going to fold the wings in. Get these wings out. Like so. I'm going to split this. Untab these. Untab this from the thruster. And then that lets you extend the foot out and the leg. So you can have the foot, just get that out. Spin around the tail fin. So it hides in the leg. Come around here. Get the arms up, like so. Spin around this section, we'll just fold that up. Come around here. Open up the arms. Get that down. Just open this up. Get this out, pushing the nose cone, get the chest down, rotate the waist, flip the head out, just close this, freak this little tab that this goes into, there we go. Flip out the hands. And then, if you have this removed, take this, and this goes into here. And there you have Jhiaxus in robot mode. And that is a really fun transformation. I mean, seriously, like the way that the legs transform, the way that the arms like maneuver, and the way that the cockpit just splits in half. I just think that that's a really fun transformation. I mean, the transformations for the new molds and Legacy have been really fun. And what we're left with is a really nice looking robot mode. And this is when my throat stops working. So yeah, having a 360 of this. I mean, seriously, like, there's little to no hollow parts in this. I mean, seriously. They thought about this. Like, I can barely see any hollow parts. Even with the arms, they actually thought to have these bits open up, which is really nice. Now, taking a look at the head. That's clearly Jhiaxus' head, with the little tubes going into his chin. Now, this is kind of loose, because it is easy to move. It's a complaint, but at least it's not a bobblehead. So, there's that. Now, giving him his guns. Well, one thing to note, his hands can actually open, which is amazing. Like, with all this engineering, I'm surprised this guy's not a leader class or something. I mean, with a few extra, like, either accessories or engineering stuff, this guy could have been a leader class. Like, they could have given him, like, the throne from Coronation Starscream and made him a leader class. And I would have been satisfied. And yeah, like, he looks really cool holding these. And of course, as shown in the vehicle mode, these can take blast effects. So he can't just shoot at his enemies. Which is nice, especially seeing how blast effects are kind of a 50-50 thing in Legacy. Like, Jhiaxus can fire at his enemies, although Master's huge cannon for his base station mode can't even take a single. But you know what I mean. Like, without going into rant, like the blast effects in Legacy are kind of a gamble. And of course, we still have the ports on the feet. So if you want to give him, like, weaponize his shoes, or laser feet, or maybe since he is a jet bot, we can even give him, like, thruster feet, kind of like the Seekers. So there's that. So yeah. Now for articulation, well, his head isn't a ball joint, so he can look up, he can kind of look down, he can look around. His arms can, of course, move, although not fully because of the wings. Of course, you can sort of T-pose, like not fully, because then you're just gonna untap it, but still. It's got elbows, bicep rotation. It's got hand rotation. He can actually open his hand, which is very rare. And I mean, the last time I saw that was, for what I can remember, Earthrise Prime. The waist can rotate. Legs can go forward that far. Back about that far. You can do the splits. It's got ankle pivot. Really good knee. So well, if you want that going on, then sure. And this can swivel. So, overall, I am really impressed with this guy. And I think this has become one of my favorite figures in Legacy so far. I mean, seriously, the engineering is really good. The fact that there's a little to no hollow parts, the transformation is really fun. The vehicle mode is really good. I mean, it's so good that the only complaints I can even think of are the sort of loose head, the fact that, like, he kind of wobbles when I get him to stand, but even then, those are ignorable. That's how good this figure is. And, like, the visible arms in the gym mode, I can look past that as well. That's how good this figure is, in my opinion. Seriously, this is one of, if not the best figure in Legacy so far. I think possibly. Well, then again, like, the best figure in Legacy is really anyone's debates, because everyone has their likes and dislikes when it comes to their favorite figure. But for my favorite figure, this is definitely going to be one of them now. So, do I recommend this guy? I mean, of course I do. This is amazing. I mean, I could sit here for hours praising this figure, but let's just end it here by saying, if you're a fan of Generation 2, just collecting Legacy in general, or just a fan of Transformers, I absolutely recommend this guy. In fact, part of me is kind of wanting a retool of the upcoming Armada Starscream into the version of Jhiaxus from the Generations toy line, but that's just me being silly. But for this Jhiaxus, this is a really good figure. I mean, seriously. Well, this has been my review on Legacy Jhiaxus, and this is Charlie Young, signing off.